Barbara.
And I'm Karen, and we're the Sing Sisters. This is our tech bit on Google Sheets charts. So if you've been watching our series on Google Sheets, we showed you a lot about creating spreadsheets and using data and everything.
And filtering.
Yep. And but you know, when you are looking at spreadsheets, it's kind of overwhelming, and it's kind of hard to figure out, what am I looking at here?
Right.
So a great, really visual way to look at your data and analyze it and understand it more is using charts.
Right.
So that's what we're going to show you today.
Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to go to Google Drive, because we like to start there when we're using our Google apps. So I'm just going to type in Drive. It's drive.google.com.
Yep. Or you could go right to Sheets.
You could go right to the Sheets page. We like to come here because
we like Drive.
It kind of shows us all our stuff in one place. And
it does.
Whatever Google account you're logged into will show up in the upper right.
Yep.
And you'll see all your stuff. So we're going to go down and we're going to go into YouTube Video Outlines. And this is the Sheets Advanced section. And we're going to pull up this file called Classroom Data.
Okay.
And we've looked at this in our last advanced
on
video on filters. It's the same data, Mrs. Gillette's English class. And here we have all of our students' names. We have our periods, homework 1, 2, 3, 4, and test 1, 2, 3, 4, average of all tests, and so on.
So we're showing a sample of a teacher or class data, but you could use any data, right?
It could be any data.
Scientific.
Sales. It might be scientific. It might be sales data. It might be
anything.
Anywhere you are collecting data in a spreadsheet, you can apply these techniques to help you analyze it.
Yeah.
Which is what it's all about. Now, if you look at the spreadsheet, it's kind of hard to tell. Well, it's not very visually showing me. Are my students doing well or not?
I feel kind of overwhelmed.
I'm kind of overwhelmed.
What's going on?
So let's say we want to just isolate in on our tests. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do to create a graph or a chart, which are basically one and the same, is we're going to take a look at just the tests. And so first you want to take a look at your data, and you want to make sure that you're selecting the right data before you insert the chart. Whatever you have selected is what it's going to chart.
Okay.
And I don't want all the data, but I do want students' names. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the first cell, and then I'm going to drag down to the last cell.
Okay.
So I've got A4 through A34. Now here's another thing to note here. It's very important when you create your chart to have all your data visually there. Don't be in filter mode.
Right.
Make sure you have all your rows and all your columns showing when you select them.
When you go to make a chart.
Right, because that way it'll chart everything, but then we'll be able to pick subsets of that group. Okay, and we'll be looking at that. So I don't have filter on. The filter is not active. And I've selected all my names. Now I'm going to come over here and I want to start here at test 1. Because I want the label test 1 to be on there as well.
Okay.
I didn't really care that it said student. I would have taken that off because I
have
all their
names.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But I don't know what this data will be. So in order to do that, since it's not in a continuous right after this data, we hold down the Command or the Alt key on your PC or your Mac, and we click and drag down and over. Now I have all the students and all the test scores selected.
Okay, and so that would be could be any data that
data you want.
You want to visually look at.
You could come over here and you could continue and select this if you want.
Right.
Now I'm going to go up here. There are a couple of different ways to insert a chart. You can come up here to the toolbar, insert chart. You can also go over to the insert menu and come down to chart.
Right.
To both do the same thing. So we'll insert chart, and it's going to come up. And it brought us to the chart types section. We're in the chart editor, which we'll show you how you can get back in here after you have your chart created to change things. And the first thing it's showing us here looks a little jumbly, but this is actually the information that is in this chart. The data that it's using is sheet 1. That's the name of this sheet. A4 through A34, so there's our names, and then G3 through J34. So that's showing us all the data that's being charted.
Oh, that's awesome. And could you manually go in and change that?
You could go in and change it if you say, oh no, I don't want those last 3 kids or whatever. You could change it. Or you want to add, you've added rows at the bottom maybe. You need to add. If you insert something in the middle, it'll reflect.
Right.
But if you insert something at the bottom, it wouldn't. So so that's how you can see if like, oh, all your data isn't showing. Come in here and take a look at what is it actually doing, and maybe you need to update it. Yep. And then we can go down and we can look. I just like to come down here and take a look. It's picked one chart type for us, and we can just tap on these different chart types, and it's going to come over here and show us what it's going to look like. Okay. Some of them don't make sense, and it'll tell you, oh, this data is not going to work for a pie chart. You know, there's too much information here for a pie chart. We have a variety of different charts, line charts, area charts, which, you know, look like this. They fill the area in. We have a stepped area chart that looks kind of
nice.
Southwestern.
Yeah, little Adobe style.
You have columns going up and down. We have columns to the right. You can see how it's changing, what it's showing on the left or the horizontal or vertical axes. We have scatter charts, which are, with this data, it's probably too much.
That's really confusing to me.
That looks even worse than the other.
It's pretty, but...
Oh, there's maps. There's
I'll let you do it.
A lot of other different things. So for this chart, we're going to pick a bar chart. And we're going to say that's what we want.
What if we did a bar chart the other way?
Well, we could do that too. We could go do the bar chart this way. Well, the problem here is that we have so many names across here, but we certainly can. Let's do it this way.
We don't have to. I'm not trying to be difficult in our video.
We can do it. It'll show here. We'll try it. Doesn't really matter, and we can change it later. So we're going to go ahead and just insert the chart. And what it does is it just puts the chart on your page, picks a size for it, and here it is. And I can get on it, and I can pick it up and move it around. Okay. I can scale it by getting on any of the handles and make it bigger or smaller. I'm going to go ahead and just make it big right now, cover up our data for what we're doing.
So we can see. And you can see, right?
Yeah, and I can see, right?
So I see each person and then
four tests are showing up. It's a little bit hard to see, but now I can see that, my classes, I've got a fair amount of people under 75, but I've got a fair amount over 75 too. So visually I can just get an idea of, where my
much better than looking at that numbers in the spreadsheet, right?
Right. Now I don't see the way that these legends are set up. I'm not seeing everything that I want to see. Like obviously not everybody's name is showing up, and I think it's because of the size of the type. So first thing we're going to look at, though, we'll look at that in just a second. Here we have two icons here. We have view mode and we have quick edit mode. Okay. In view mode, when I click over here, you'll notice I don't get to edit anything. It's showing me the data. When I go to quick edit mode, if I come over here and I click, now it's bringing up a little informational thing. I can change the font size. So I think here, maybe I should make the font a little smaller. I'm going to go to 10 point. Now I got more names.
Oh, awesome.
I can change the font color if I want to. So, maybe I want to make them blue. Mm-hmm. And then I can change the slant. Right now it's at auto, which I think is 30. But for these names, I think I need to go 90.
Yeah,
and then I'm going to see all of them come across here. Okay, and, now maybe I can make it a little bit bigger, actually. Because they're 90 degrees, I can make them as big as I want, really. They're all going to show up.
Okay, great.
Okay, so that makes it easy.
Little quick editing you could do there.
Right, and again, you can click here and you can say, well, here's a legend, right? And we can say, oh, I don't want it on the right, I want it on the top. Now my legend has come across the top, or I want it on the bottom or the inside, or I don't want a legend.
Right.
Now, I'll show you how to get it back here in just a minute.
I want a legend.
Can't do it here, but I'll show you later. So you get the idea there. Now, the place where you can really do everything is inside here. So if you click on the little drop-down arrow here in the upper right-hand corner, you're able to go into advanced edit.
That makes sense.
We'll take a look at these in just a second.
So that was some quick editing you could do.
Right. And this is taking us right back into that chart editor. It just brings us to a different area, customization. Here's the chart types. This is where we were in the beginning.
Okay, so you could change that at any point.
Right. And recommendations will show up if it thinks it has a really good recommendation for you. I don't know why it didn't like what we were doing, or it didn't have one, but we'll go to customization and we'll take a look at all the things we can do. So the first thing is the chart itself. I can change the chart font color. I can say I want it to be purple. Now you can see that.
That's the title. You're in the title.
I probably don't want to call it chart title. I'm going to call it test assessment.
Okay.
Here's my legend, so I can get my legend back, and I'll go ahead and put my legend on the right. Yep. I could bold it if I want. I could italicize it. You can see I'm affecting all the type here on the legend.
Okay.
Okay. I can change the font. I can change the background color of the chart if I wanted the chart to have a background color. I can do that. Here are some other things you can do depending on the data that you're looking at. Might make sense. You'll notice when I come out here, first of all, see, I have to get over each one of those bars to see. There's Ati's test 4, here's her test 2, and so on. If I go to compare mode, this is kind of nice because then for each student, it's going to show me all their test scores. Yeah, and you can see where that might be applicable for other things. Maybe it's a salesperson or a region and or customers. You're trying to look at how they're doing.
Or Girl Scout cookie sales.
Right, right. You can stack the data, which I don't think works well in this case. Because I'm not trying to look at the aggregate. I really want to see where at 100%, where are these tests falling. So I wouldn't do that. You can reverse it, which basically just reverses the order that it was in.
Okay. Well, you never know.
You never know. And here we have we go into the section called axis. So we were just looking at chart. Now we're looking at the horizontal axis. Okay, and I can pick left or horizontal or right if I have a different type of chart selected. So here in the horizontal, I don't have a title. Let's just type in title so you can see where that comes up. That's coming up down here because I don't really need it to say students.
Right, because they're names. You can figure out what that is.
Right.
But on the other one...
it made sense to do that. Well, it might. It really doesn't here.
It doesn't, no.
Let's work.
But you might have a case where it does.
Right. I mean, what am I going to say? Test values. You know? I mean,
I think you get 0 to 100.
0 to 100. And then we can do the slant here like we did here. We've got them at 90 degrees. We can treat the labels as text. So we could individually go in and do different things with the labels.
Okay.
And that's really about it. And again, you just switch between horizontal and left here. So maybe I want to go to left and I want to make these, the access labels bold so they stand out a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay. We can also turn on grid lines. You notice that it's got some grid lines on here. I've got 5 major grid lines. You know, maybe I want to do 8.
Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah.
Then I can see a little bit.
With so many bars on this chart, that's kind of nice.
Yep.
Because you can track over to the
and you
number.
can change the color of those lines if you want. Right now they're at a nice subtle gray. I mean,
so
let's just make them hot pink so you can see. Now you can actually see those lines better.
You can really customize this a lot.
You can very much customize it. You could do minor lines in between, so you can really get crazy. We're not going to do that.
I mean, some people might really be into charts, and this is going to be awesome.
Right. You can change the number format. Here it's taking it from the data, but if I go to custom and I say, oh, I want to put a $sign on the front of that. If this was numbers, now we're going to see dollar signs here.
Oh, great.
Okay, but I don't want to do that.
No.
So I'm going to take that off, but you can change that. And then we also have the scale here. The default is going to go from, depending on what the data is and what you have chosen up here as far as your grid lines.
Okay, makes sense.
I'm going to change my grid lines to auto, and you notice that what it does with auto is it tops it at the highest value of your data. And the highest value of our data was 100. Now, if we didn't have a kid who made it to 100, we probably want to, when we come down here, we want to choose a scale of 100.
Right.
Okay. Well, this is 100% now. It's gone into percents. We're just going to leave that at default right now. But you can change the scale.
Okay.
And then here's our series. So now we're going to be dealing with our columns. All right. And we can go in and we can do all columns, or we can pick a particular column. So let's say I don't want test 1 to be blue. I want it to be red. I can change that.
Perfect.
I can change what axis it's on. I can put data values on it. So you can see now that each one of those shows the actual value within the bar chart, column chart, which in this case would be extremely confusing because there'd be so many values on. So I'm going to turn that off for this one so we don't see that.
Okay.
And I can go through and I can do that for each one of these. I can change the color or do something different with it, and it'll reflect. So that's kind of what we've got going on there.
Great.
If your information and you are familiar with using error bars,
I bet I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not really either. And
yeah,
but you can apply error bars, and you can apply them to individual series, or you can do the entire series at once by doing all columns. Then you could do error bars for all of the data. So if you need to do that, you can do that.
Right.
And we go ahead and we just click on update, and it's going to go ahead and update our chart. Okay,
Beautiful.
So there's our nice chart. Now, let's say that, I didn't want to do that.
No, you don't want to do that.
Oh, I resized the screen. Stop it. Okay, I was just going to resize the screen. What I want to do is I want to resize this and make it smaller.
Yep.
Because I want to show you how we can go ahead and take a look at just one person and how it will reflect here on our chart. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to position myself in the header rows and turn filters on. And if you're unfamiliar...
we have a great video, Google Sheets Filters.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar with it, watch our Google Sheets Filters video and you'll know how to do this. But we're going to go into the student column, and instead of all of them, I'm going to clear it. And I'm going to pick just Allie.
Oh, Allie.
And there's Allie's information. So it's really nice if you want to just take a look at one student. What happened at test 2? She must have had a problem.
Not enough sleep.
So it's going to, I don't know. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to show you just that student, or maybe I want to look at a couple different students. I can go in and I can pick 2 students.
You could compare salesmen and see who's doing better.
Which one is your best, or regions, or products?
Salespeople, I should say.
Yeah, salespeople.
Yes,
Salesmen.
Being women.
Yeah. So you can choose a bunch of different ways of taking a look at your data. I'm going to turn the filter back off again. Okay.
That is, this is the whole world I did not know existed, or it just seems so confusing to me. I've said this before, this whole spreadsheet thing, but now looking at these charts, how you can really visually analyze them, it's just so useful and easy.
Right. Now you can see that we have all of our students listed in here, and if I go ahead and I insert a row in the middle, it'll go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and insert a row, and I'm just going to add Bobby. And I'm going to put him in the first period, and I'm going to put some values in for him. Oops, that's not even what we're looking at here. Let's do, let's make him smart. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And if you look down here, Bobby has been added to our chart.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Now, it only did that because we had all the data showing when we created our chart. If we had a subset, it would have just been for that subset.
And if you put him after the last one, would it show up?
No. Then I would have to go in and I would have to modify in here, go back into Advanced Edit,
add the row,
and go to Chart Types and change that to add 36.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
Okay. So otherwise, it will calculate it for us.
Awesome.
Now there are a few other things we can do with the chart. I'm going to come here to the little drop-down arrow. We went to Advanced Edit. Well, one, we can delete the chart.
Okay.
So that's how we can get rid of a chart. You can also just hit delete once it's selected.
Right.
You can save an image, and what that'll do is that will save the image of what the chart looks like right now to a PNG file that you can then use somewhere else.
Right. Anywhere you would insert a graphic.
Right. But it will not update when you change things. Like we all know that when we're working in a Google spreadsheet, if you're changing something and someone else is looking at it, they're seeing those changes happen. So this would just save a snapshot in time.
Okay.
If we go to Publish Chart, however, we can get a link or we can get an embedded code for our website.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, and we can tell it, we can pick which chart we want, first of all, if you have more than one chart. We do have a couple charts on another page.
We have been working.
Yep. You can choose it to be interactive or just an image.
Oh my gosh.
So this is really nice if you've got some data that you want to keep up on your web page or, wherever you want to put it.
Like you volunteer a lot for your lake that you live on and you keep some stats up there and the quality of the water and things like that.
Right, the depth of the water and how high the water level is, which I don't know if you can hear it, but it just started pouring rain here. So we'll be updating that measurement tomorrow, but that's a really nice feature that you can do.
Yeah, I love that.
Really nice.
Or you could put it in a Word, not a Word. We're in Google videos right now.
Well, you could
put it in a Word document, but you could put it in a Google Doc.
You could. And that's where copy chart comes into place. If I copy a chart, I can then paste it into a Google Doc, and then it'll say, oh, do you want this to be interactive? And it'll update when it changes.
And it just asks you that when you paste.
Just asks you that when you paste it in. It's really nice. You can move this chart to its own sheet, which is also really nice. And if I do that, notice that the chart is now on its own page and it's nice and big.
Yeah, I like that.
I can easily see, it's a much better way of looking at it.
And it's a tab down there below.
Right, down on the bottom you'll see sheet 1 is our data, chart 7 is here, chart 6, chart 5. These are other ones that I've done. And you can easily go in and you can rename these. So I could call this test assessment.
Amazing.
You know, so you could have your main sheet and then all your different charts that you could go in and look at, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the sheet. Well, actually, I'm not. Now, this is a good thing to notice. Once you remember, it said move your chart, so it took it off your sheet and it moved it over here, and now things are looking a little different. Here's our view mode and our quick edit mode.
Right.
Here's our copy chart. Here's our advanced edit.
Click on that so you can see that.
Yep. Up here at the top. Here's your advanced edit, just like the other. Here's your copy chart. Here's your published chart, where we just looked at that. Save image. That's the PNG, or delete chart.
So it's basically the same if you put it on its own tab, its own page, but just laid out a little different.
It is just laid out a little bit different. And
you don't have that arrow on the chart to click down and get that menu. No. It's just all in the upper nav.
The only thing that they don't show us here is something that most people probably wouldn't be using as much, but with the other drop-down arrow, there's an alternate text option, which is used. It's accessed by screen readers for vision impaired people, and I didn't have time to really super dig into that, but I think that's a really neat option. If that's something
you use, you probably know what it means.
Right, so if your data needs to be read by people who might be vision impaired, you'll probably know more about that, or you can check into it because it seems like a pretty neat option.
Right.
So charts are a fantastic way of making sense of your data.
Oh, it's just great. Rather than looking at that spreadsheet, I can easily visually understand my data.
That's right. And we're kind of working up with these smaller advanced sessions on Google Sheets to creating a dashboard.
The culmination of all our hard work.
Yeah. So we'll be putting these charts onto a dashboard where it'll be easy to see all this information.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. So.
Well, hope you enjoyed learning with Sync Sisters.
Thanks for watching the Sync Sisters Tech Bit.
And please subscribe to our channel.